Hi, welcome you all once again. In previous video, we have discussed about a try-catch block, and here we are going to discuss about multiple catch blocks for single try block. The single try block of the code can raise more than one exception. If that single try block is raising more than one exception, then we have to use two or more catch classes for catching those different type of exceptions. In Java programming, at a time only one exception will occur. Likewise, at a time only one catch block will be executing. All catch blocks must be ordered if you are having more than one catch blocks. So those catch blocks should be ordered from most specifics to more or most general. That is, catch for arithmetic exception must be come uh, before the catch class exception. This is super class, this one is the subclass. For example, here you see exception is the superclass for all the exceptions in the Java programming. Then it is having child classes or subclasses: IO exception, class not found exception, SQL exception, then runtime exception. Here the runtime exception is the having again child classes. So this is grandchild to the exception class. Okay, now the runtime is having its own child classes: arithmetic exception, null pointer exception, number format exception, index out of bound exception. So these are having the parent is runtime exception, but at the same time exception is a grandparent. So it is one of the super class for this arithmetic exception, null pointer, and number format and index out of bound exception. Still, index out of bound exception is having its own subclasses. So here these are great grandchild to the exception class. Okay, so now when we are using those classes in the programming, so we have to use this hierarchy. So this is more general or most general, right? This one most specific. Okay, most specific class. This one is most general class. So when you are using inside the program, you have to go from bottom up approach. So first you have to use most specific exception class, then only at last you have to use the most general class. That's what we are writing here. All catch blocks must be ordered from most specific to most general. For example, if you have arithmetic exception, here you see arithmetic exception is there, then it has to be written first, then only you have to write exception class after this. That's what we are saying here. First we have to catch the arithmetic exception before catching the most general class exception. When you are using multiple catch statements, it is important to remember that subclasses exception must come before any of their superclass exception. That's what we have seen here. So subclass exceptions must come, that is most specific exceptions, that is the subclass exceptions or child class exceptions must come before most general, that is superclass exception, right? Then why do we do this? Because a catch statement that uses a superclass will catch the exceptions of that type as well as exceptions of its subclasses. That means here when you are using the superclass at the first statement itself, if you use uh, superclass initially in the first catch block itself, then it is overriding all this, subclasses. Okay, so it will handle the uh, class, it will handle the subclass exceptions, that may be array index out of bound or string index out of bound, null pointer exception or class not found exception. Any exceptions, it can be handled by this superclass exception. So first we have to use subclasses, then only we have to go for superclass exception. So here if you use first superclass, then subclass exception never be reached if it came after the superclass. That means here, if you are using the catch class, right, with superclass first, then second catch class for other subclasses, then that second catch class never be reached, okay, if it is having subclasses exceptions. So that is the point which is written here. So the syntax for multiple catch blocks is given here. Try block which is having number of statements. For each statement you can write one catch block. Okay, for this one catch block, for second line another catch block, for third line third catch block. So like that, for each exception you can write one separate catch block. But when you're writing the separate catch blocks, first subclass exception to be given, finally at last you have to give the superclass exception. For example, for subclass you can give number format exception, right, and finally after all catch exceptions you can write here the superclass exception, that is exception. Okay, we will see the example here. Before that we will see the uh, how that catch blocks will be executed for try block. So here we are having the try block statement, right? So for each line we will have the catch block. Find the appropriate catch block for these statements available inside the try blocks. So try block can have first statement for the arithmetic expression, right? Second statement may have the class not found exception, okay, that line of the code. Then third line may have file not found exception. So you see here we are having three different lines, three different exceptions are there. So for each exception you can write one catch class, exception 1, exception 2, etc., exception n. Then here finally you can write the default execute out of the try catch block. That means here all the catch blocks are written. So after all the catch blocks, okay, so here catch 1 for the statement arithmetic exception, then catch block 2, right, for class not found, for catch block 3 for the file not found. After this we can write default code, right, which is to be executed. So that's what this hierarchy is explaining. And the example is given here for multiple catch blocks, defining the class name multicatch 1, the main method. Then I'm introducing the try block here. The try block is having three lines of code, right? So which is ended here. For the first line, just it is declaring the length of the length of the array value, variable, and array dot length is assigned here, okay. Then here we are printing the system dot out dot println 34 divided by length. So 34 divided by length here, which is doing the arithmetic expression. So first statement, the first catch block is assigning for arithmetic exception handling. So this will do arithmetic exception handling method. So here you see we didn't define any array here. Okay, we didn't define any array, right? Just it is receiving the command line arguments, but we are not giving any input value. So length is here 0, length is here 0. So 34 divided by 0, then if it is executing this line, then you will get the arithmetic exception, which is notifying the user system.out.println 0, division by 0. Then next line is having system.out.println AR of 5. We didn't pass any values here, but we are trying to access the fifth index of the AR. Okay, then if that statement is executing immediately, this catch block will come into the execution. Then it will handle the error or exception which is rising by this statement, which is notifying the user. You see here first statement, right, first statement itself, which is raising the error. Okay, 34 divided by 0. Okay, because we didn't pass any input values from the command line arguments. So the first statement itself, which is raising the exception, this is handling by the arithmetic exception cache class, so which is available earlier than the second statement exception, array index out of bounds exception. So this is raising the exception. So successfully our program is executed, but which is giving you the notification that there is exception. Okay, if it is successfully executed, then this statement will come into the picture, it will execute. If there is any exception, then its corresponding exception class will handle that exception. So here, why array index out of bounds exception is not caught? Okay, so here you see why it is not executed first, because the catch block which is handling the first statement exception, that itself is having the error now. Okay, this itself having the error, that's why this is not executed. Okay, because at a time only one exception will occur. At a time only one exception will occur, that will be handled at the same time. At a time only one catch block is executed. Okay, like that. Here another program, we are having the array values, three values: 0th index, first index and second index. Then here when you are calculating the length of the array, it will be 3. Then now we are dividing 34 divided by 3, it will be the 11. Then successfully it is executed, so there is no arithmetic exception, so this is not executing now, right? And system.out.println array of 5, but here we are having only two indices. Okay, until 2, index number 2, right? Fifth index is not available in this array, so it will generate the exception. So that exception is belonging to the catch class array index out of bound exception. Then this statement will execute to notify the user. You see 11, which is printed here in this statement, 34 divided by 3, 11, because it is an integer variable. Then here the accessing of array of 5 is generating the exception. That is, exception is notifying the user as a statement we defined here. Array index exception occurs. Okay, thanks for watching.